Friday, May 15th, 8:49 a.m. What's up, everybody? We are checking back in on the markets. As you can see, we have our Datadog as we were looking at Datadog, the stock. This is not some ploy or some plot. He's just been barking quite a bit as we sat down to record. So, you know what we're doing, checking back in the markets. We have a good portfolio trading management morning to discuss. We see some green numbers on our screen. It's very, very rare. Let's see if our Datadog will hopefully sit. Okay, he's out of the screen, but he's still on my lap. But regardless, so at Datadog right here, we did have some kind of just pull off of the, again, just the momentum on these big appreciations after any sort of stimulus. This one being an earnings beat or just, again, bringing on new clients specifically. I think more so than the actual revenue number. But again, another point, again, no way to really know what caused it, but the appreciation has occurred, or at least what aspect of the earnings report / conference call caused it. Regardless, we have appreciation, and then when we go into a short position, we're just kind of like waiting for that turn, right? Literally the price action, once it starts going in your direction, even if you're in the negative, you'll feel a little bit better. And so we have that going on this morning over here at Datadog, because again, when you're fighting momentum's running really hot, you're like, on a sentiment-wise, you're like, how high is this going to go? We point that out every time it happens, because again, this log is tracking just all things sentiment, price action related. And so, pre-market, again, 8:50 a.m., it's been fluttering between like the bid and ask between 198 and 200. Not many shares exchanged, but we do see, again, Datadog, a software as a service company, SaaS. Again, I haven't really been hearing that buzzword. 5-10 years ago, that was like every day. Now it's just agentic. My workflow is so agentic, I'm just vibe coding out the wazoo. But we do also have some pre-market depreciation on the memory sector, which we've been following, as well as just the broader QQQ. Again, I don't even know what you call this, but the Invesco QQQ. It's like just a NASDAQ-based momentum indice. But all of these kind of some downward pressure across the market is what I'm emphasizing. So on the open, expecting more downside to Datadog. We shall see. And then we pop over to Gemmy. So Gemmy reported earnings yesterday. Just had a conference call, it looks like. But we had an appreciation. And so reviewing the thesis over here, again, I originally bought it on the IPO, just IPO, buy something, and then just kind of let it sit in the portfolio, just kind of bleeds out a couple percent each day, and then you're down like $800, $900. I want to say it was like $780. So I just looked at the accounting. I don't have it pulled up right now, but still down, I would say, Gemmy, with this appreciation right here, I think it's still down around $300. So in the previous videos, I had said some number. I think that was a little high. Again, just doing the mental math. The buy in September, immediately sold it for like $10 profit, bought it again. That's when it depreciated, and then averaged down a little bit, and then we sold some shares of that 40% increase when we bumped up to like $10 to $15 a share, and then averaged down again. And so I don't like let's see what I have pulled up here. So I just have my YouTube. Okay, so I didn't know what was up on my. I just don't want to. I'll worry about it later. But point being is we'll say total proceeds and total cost basis. I do not like the overall accounting statement. I pointed out is not some ha thing. It's like it's not, you can't follow your fucking money because some dude at Harvard or Wharton is trying to use words that have meaning, and the order they put them in makes no fucking sense. And so you can't follow your own accounting statement when you know exactly when you bought and sold everything. It's just like, it's not clear. But regardless, overall, again, 100 shares average at 4.657, showing a profit. But in reality, that's, again, we'll just call it fluctuating right now. We'll just call it $700 of not proceeds, meaning of shares that are not realized. And then it was like, I want to say it was like $360 of proceeds, and then like $1,500 of cost basis. So again, total, if I were to sell this right now, the proceeds would be like $1,100 and the total cost basis being $15, so down around $400. Just keeping our mental accounting going on. I do not like Schwab's accounting statement. It does not make sense. It is not good. It's flatly wrong. And so it's like, from a legal standpoint, it's not fraud, but it's just like, again, gross negligence. You're a major financial institution and you just use words randomly. Go to Harvard, oh, dark energy. You guys are fucking criminals, man. There is so much fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy going on. There is no point to attempt to live a day of life. I'm going to go back mulching. There's no point to do that than to try to fucking have a career and a family in the United States or anywhere in the world. But the general populace is, again, too profoundly stupid to even, like, know what's going on or care. Trying to stay with the finance for right now. Again, my rights are violated, and I will never have a career and a family because people are stupid and people are criminals. But for an overall management perspective, okay, so we have a pop-up here. Just wanted to give you the overall dollar figures. We're seeing green, but that's not total green. But just sticking with Gemmy, what do we do from here? And so, right, we have a company that IPO'd, got beat to shit. Really, that's why we averaged down, is not because I think the earnings is going to be good. So they ended up securing a $100 million investment. That seems to be the major stimulus of the conference call. But it's in a sector. Cryptocurrency has been, and certainly not in the momentum limelight. Kelly Evans is like, is it dead again for like the 14th time? So the overall sentiment price action cycle of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency definitely out of the limelight, and at what I'm thinking is lows. And so that's kind of like the fundamental space Gemmy is in. This transaction, and it's an exchange, which I don't see as like super fundamental in any way, but I see the overall sector as like, again, you can just put AI in there. It's a tech company. We can definitely pass this as technology or AI or certainly data. So it's in that environment where you can have some stimulus from that. You definitely have stimulus specific to Bitcoin, and then our stock-specific stimulus today, the earnings. And I think it's the $100 million investment. That's what's on the news headlines, and that makes sense to me. People see, hey, the founders, the Winklevosses, they secured that investment at like $14 a share. So again, it gives you from a recent price action. Again, back in December, we hit the 15. I forget, I can't see it. This is like early February, I want to say. We hit up to 10. And so we have had some, again, relatively recent pops just on price action alone. And so it's like, hey, this is something that I think, again, we'll see how it opens up, but kind of the opposite to what we've been saying of, hey, let's short some earnings appreciation. It appreciates pre-market from earnings. Well, this is that exact scenario, but we're long. And do we want to sell? And so kind of our initial thoughts are it's the same type of price action, is where we have some sort of announcement. It appreciates. Typically, it sells off or you'll have like some sort of blowout spike at the like literally the first 3-minute candle, and then it kind of settles down or sells off a little harder, and then kind of like bobs back up and kind of like, I'll say this trades again, just total. I'm gonna say this trades. It's going to pop up to like, I want to say like $8, and then I think it will come back down to like the 660, and then it'll kind of like level off into like the 7s, and that's if it just like doesn't have big appreciation. Total, again, not high conviction for my overall management here. What I'm going to do is I might add some if we get that, again, at the 10:17-ish hour. If it does do what I just said and it comes back down at some point during the morning trade, add a little bit long there. Specifically for a day trade, but these I don't like to mess with my price action or my. So again, this is one of those where it's like you could call it an investment where it's sat there a while. It's I invested in a hardworking American company. Not really, but it's psychologically it's sat in there for a while, and so now we have some appreciation. When that kind of happens, you feel like now's the time. I earned it, right? I wasted an arbitrary amount of time just sitting there making no appreciation. So now 6 months later, I deserve it. Again, that's kind of the psychology that goes on. But meaning just time invested, investment bias. How much time do you spend doing something? Manifests in a variety of different areas. And so for trade management, thinking, if anything, add to the long side for, again, a short term, try to ride some momentum. This is certainly one where I don't want to cut anything short, right? It's the overall, we have a long position. We have a total dollar figure invested. It's very small. Again, we invested $465. So certainly not looking to cut anything too short on something like this. From a recent price action level, certainly up into the 10 to the 15. And then we have this, again, stock-specific, stimulus-specific number of, hey, the Winklevosses or the company overall has secured this investment at $14 a share. So there's no reason it should go back to that or has to go back to that, but it's a psychological pinpoint. It's a psychological post where it's like, hey, it's been here before. This is somebody else agreed to this dollar figure, and so it's into the psychology, into the sentiment of the trading action. And so that's what we're looking over here. Certainly holding the 100 shares because we did close, right? Remember, we added some in the low fours that we just closed. It was like 25 shares or maybe 35 shares in the low fives. So we missed that pop there. But this 100 shares, we're going to ride this out. Again, overall, just psychologically for this trading log, trying to get back to at least even or profitable here. $10 a share would do that. So if we hit that appreciation, but again, the overall dollar figure to the portfolio size is inconsequential. And so back to a point that I made way in the earlier ones from like years ago is just building a boilerplate where it's like, what makes GameStop go GameStop? What makes Micron and SanDisk, that sector has like real things, but it's just what makes something appreciate randomly, you kind of don't know. And as we talked about specifically for SanDisk, it didn't really hit the headlines or become big news until it was like over like 400% already appreciated. And so you can have huge returns before anyone's even talking about anything. And again, the relevance of people talking about it is you need volume for things to move, or at least volume is more indicative of volatility. And the volatility is where you get big appreciations or big movements to where you can make a lot of money. But reality, I like to emphasize that, again, you have huge appreciations with no sentiment, with no news headlines, things moving hundreds, 40 to 100% all of the time, just casual trading cycles because of, again, this environment of 10 to 50 times forward earnings is like reasonable for everything. And so understanding market dynamics and trying to capitalize on that is just kind of what you do. For the long positions, or again, for really any any reward, anytime you're making a profit, I'm typically, as we've seen, I like to cut it like hey, I'm going to preserve profit. There's always another opportunity. More dollars is more dollars. And so this one, just the total dollar figure. Again, anytime I'm into profit, if I was like taking a sizable position, I would be trimming immediately. That's just something that I do. I think it's the most reasonable management for the market dynamics. If something then appreciates, another 100%, 200%, 1,000% next time, or the next day, or within the same move, meaning, let's say I'm here on Gemmy right now. I think $6.83 is great. I've made some money. It's 30%, and it's not showing the percentages yet, but right around 30%. Great dollar figure. I hit sell, and then it opens up and it spikes to $10, and I'm literally sitting here like, hey, if I literally just didn't do something for the next 10 minutes, I would have made another $500 or whatever. A psychology will definitely go through if you trade. But just for the overall, you take 1,000 trades, locking in profit 1,000 times out of 1,000 is always a good idea. But just for maximizing your return, right? You can look at the bottom of a chart and say, I could have bought here and I could have sold there. You can do that all day. For the reasonable management, I think, again, even if you have to trim too short, locking in some amount of profit is always a good idea. We've already done that and rearranged over here quite a bit. And overall dollar figure, our data dog's heading down. 1 second. Oh, go ahead, buddy. Be careful. Ooh. All right. He's down. Hopefully we don't get too many barks. Not off to a good start. But so looking to, again, just not the overall dollar figure here is so small. But for managing a trade, anytime you're in a profit, it always makes sense to secure that, at least some of it. And then so now we have another consideration for trade management is literally logistics, right? I'm sitting here, Gemmy's looking like it's going to appreciate. As we said, I might add to the long side here for a day trade, and if it continues up for like a little longer trade, again, the overall time frames, day trade, swing trade, investment, doesn't mean anything to me. but it's common conceptualizations people use in trading. But then we also have Datadog right over here. Oops, click the wrong button. Where it's like I'm over here with two positions that, again, this one's still in the negative, but the pressure is to the downside, market wide and stock specific. And so, like, what do I literally put up on my screen? Like, what am I focusing on the most? Because like what we just went over with Jemmy, I don't think I would add the active position. Would be more so the Datadog position. Both positions I would look to add to. If this gets a fluctuation, just immediate pop up in the first initial candle, and I would say that's what I'm specifically talking about, the immediate open, right? Because that's when you get the biggest fluctuation. Do I want to add to something, or do I want to close something? And that immediate candle, that's where I'm going to have my eyes. So the Jemmy, if anything, for that management, I'm thinking add around 1017. Again, there's a chance we can sell off, but the appreciation at the current levels is now where it's like, hey, I think I need to snap close it right on the open. Where it's like $7 a share, it's like, holy shit, let's close it down. No. And so my eyeballs will be on Datadog. Again, both positions are small. Again, short positions you always have, again, that there's no cap to upside. But the overall exposure is small, where it's like I'm not over here even kind of thinking about this. I'm more thinking about the mulching. But regardless, we do have a good example. Again, we see some green numbers on our screen. This is more of our territory, the red numbers overall. But like I said, Jemmy's still in the red total dollar figures, but both positions looking good to go into our favor today. So I just wanted to cover a little bit about, where's your head at for actual logistics. Hey, I have two positions I'm managing. You can put hard stop losses, you can put trailing stop losses, but when the rubber hits the road, when it's game time, where are you looking? And so mine will be on Datadog for our positions, our construction. Yeah, everything else, and then again, just kind of like another psychological consideration for Jemmy is because we do have downward pressure on the market. What does that have for our consideration? If it appreciates and stays up, again, we have an extremely stock-specific stimulus today, so it won't give me much overall past today, but certainly for today. Again, it is a Friday, so those are kind of like light considerations to sell. But just overall, again, if this were to go back to $4 immediately, I would just buy some more. I mean, this is a position where it's like I just feel like it's overextended to the downside. It's got the overall crypto exposure. It's got some headlines, super tech adjacent, but you can just throw AI onto anything, and it's an AI company. And so where there's enough stimulus where I just think that it's overextended to the downside substantially. And so that is my management prospectus thoughts here. Again, stuff changes as the market develops. It is 9:07. And so just logging and documenting as much as possible. Nothing else really catching my eye this morning. And so that is what we will be watching, Datadog and Jemmy, and we will check in later. Friday, May 15th, 10:09 a.m. What's up, everybody? So as we're getting to the end of what I consider the morning trade, again, it's not a hard time frame, but for my assessment, the 10:17 is not arbitrary, but we might have a Pooh Shiesty hour. Who knows? But regardless, I did want to catch the tail end of leading up to that 10:17, that time frame, because that's when I kind of personally consider the morning trade over. Again, that's from my experience. But I did want to get this. So Jemmy, I didn't snap close, but I closed it. Well, let's focus. Might as well here. So I closed this at 640. It just did not get the initial pop that I thought it would get. And so we kind of initially said, hey, thinking a pop up to like 8 and then settling back in kind of where it opened. And we got no pop off the open and just kind of fluttering around right at the beginning or at the middle. And then kept that for about 15 minutes. And I was like, I'm not liking it. I'm not seeing the strength I would like to see. So I closed that. I did check. It was total. We're still down around $400. I think it was $440. And so we caught another little $200 appreciation. Wanted to keep it, keep some profit off from our initial prospectus this morning. Wanted to preserve some profit off the opening's weakness, and then I do see this as a gap fill, but kind of, again, this is kind of the inverse or the converse or the opposite to when we're managing the American Eagle trade that we've managed, as well as the Datadog that we're currently in, where it's things gap up and, we tend to assume that it's going to fill the gap, but it doesn't happen right away. So over here on Gemi, this very well, again, we're not even done with the morning trade, but am I going to play a gap fill or a continuation of the momentum? We started off with continuation of the momentum, then based on experience and intuition, I closed it. Currently, it looks like a decent close. It could very easily rocket back up. It would make my perspectives no different. But just looking at the overall technicals, the chart appearance, and then the strength of the open, I went ahead and closed this. And so, popping on over to Datadog, I wanted to catch the tail end of the momentum, or of the momentum tied to the morning trade. So we're right at here, this 205.91 currently to 206.50. And we're right at this level, I'd say between 204.59 and 207, where it's I really don't want it to go higher. And so I just wanted to comment a little bit on the psychology of that. Again, I have no income. I do not have constitutional rights. I'm trading to make content, but I genuinely take trades that I think I have a decent conviction on, with appropriate position sizes. So it's enough to be something, but nothing enough to change your day. And so typically it's if you can weather the storm throughout the morning trade is typically when it's this is getting a little better. But as you can see, we are going northward. So we're not feeling great. So we do have a hard stop loss at 12 shares. I think that's at $214, really to try to avoid just overall any sort of blowout. No real technical resistance or psychological consideration until it gets past 207.88, which could be right as we're talking here. Looks likely. But just talking about the psychology of getting through the morning trade with a position that's not going in your favor. If this were to settle down again, right as we're talking below 206, it would feel a little bit better. But just overall, when you have momentum going against you, big rocket up to 208. Not liking to see that. But again, I want to say right around $500 is my total risk. Again, sitting up, the profit loss once closing Gemi showed I think it was 1150. It previously had it was showing $1,600, and then we just realized another $400 of loss. But again, my mental accounting, the Gemi, that's a loss from last year as well. So we're just kind of trying to trade that back. So that's a recent personal accounting thing, where you're not going to see that on the profit and loss. You're going to see the total realized. And so of short-term actions, we are, quote-unquote profitable for Gemi, but trying to trade back our overall loss. And then the loss was from September, I want to say, of last year. But again, just keeping our mental accounting, what recent actions have we been, doing? And it's the same way it's you buy something for your house. And the first week you think about it, and then after a while, it just kind of, you get complacent with it. Good, bad, neutral. It's just kind of what happens psychologically. But then for finance, for dollar figures, it's just such a small amount of money where it's it was low enough. I added another $100, $200, and we're trying to trade that back. Going pretty well since then. But regardless, 10:14 a.m. now, because and I wanted to emphasize how we're sitting here it just went down to 207. Oh, great, awesome. Now just break that. Come on. But actually, break that. Let's get back down there. Let's get 206. Let's get some 206 going. I don't want to see 207.50. New candle just started, and it just starts right in the middle of the bid and ask. So did that go up? I saw a green number. I feel worse. Am I gonna lose the house now? What's happening? Right? Literally, we just saw the candle. Right? These are 3-minute candles. Once that 3-minute timer hits, the next candle starts literally in between the bid and ask. Right? Our spread's decent on this security. But it's we saw a green number, then we saw a red number, and I'll literally do that. I'll just walk past my computer screen and be you see this right here where my mouse is pointing, right? So you just went red to green. That's not good. We want to see red. We were looking for red. Boom. Feeling a little bit better. 207. Red number, but it's still going up. And so again, where it opens, so that little gray tick you just saw was the very first, right when that candle changed. And then the first trade that executes, if it's above or below where that starts, it's where if you get the green or the red. And so If we stay below the 27.50, it will stay red. We did not. Nope. We went to the green. Back to red. And it's this type of psychology, and then you ask yourself, are we in a meaningful range? And so again, frankly, the pre-market high is kind of like the top where that's why we're over here. So this is what I'm documenting. Because I do this without the camera on or with the camera on. Total psychology, again, I don't have constitutional rights. Like at no point in time am I risking money I can't afford. But at the same time, I can't go report crime. I can't go say, here's the Clay Math open public contract to solve these problems, and here's all of analysis. And everyone's just like, we'll call Brad smart when he's dead. We're just kind of like, we don't really care. It's not my responsibility. And then on a direct personal level, I've been in survival mode every conscious waking minute of my entire life. That is in no way an exaggeration. I have to play by the rules that other people don't play by, and if I even breathe in the wrong direction, I will be called mentally ill and a threat. But I have to sit here and watch my parents' family disrespect me every single interaction I have with them, not be able to take care of my own health, not be able to pay my bills. I literally cannot buy food at the grocery store. That is not a joke. But back to our trade again. Look at my psychology. I was able to think about something else. There was a red number on the screen. We were still down over $200, but the momentum is now and we're not out of the woods. 1017 is right now. And that is typically the peak of the morning momentum. And so from an overall trade management perspective, I've had a hard stop loss on up for the time that we've been talking. Because if the hard stop loss when I'm actively managing, sitting right here looking at the thing like this, right? Sometimes I'll do sell ask. If I'm not in a rush, it's always sell ask. If I'm not in a rush, it's always buy bid. If I am, it's always market, just flatten, which will be a market order. But the hard stop loss is again just I'm literally still sitting here and it's just a huge surge. We are still in the tech adjacent area. Regardless, any short position can just hit massive appreciation. And so I do have a hard stop loss of half the shares. I'm at $214. Again, 24 shares every $4. That's effectively $100. And just keeping our overall position size in mind, this is definitely at the higher end of what I want to have exposed. Probably regardless, profit, flat, a little bit of loss, a good amount of loss. I'll probably cut this back down to 20 shares, maybe even 15. We'll see. Depending how the trade action goes, price action goes, we'll check back in later today. But again, we're still in this, documenting to the upside. Because then if we go to, again, the year daily chart or the all-time chart, Datadog doesn't have, there's no roof, right? Raise the roof. There's no roof to raise. We're just kind of raising it ourselves. We're just kind of oh. And so, again, just talking through any psychology that presents itself as you're managing trades. So hard stop loss for half our positions. Again, not liking the action, but frankly, if it's still, again, right at this 208 is the pre-market high of yesterday. And so still thinking Friday sell-off. We're getting to 1019 right now. But if it were to appreciate, which it absolutely could, after the morning trade, I just consider that me being completely wrong. Right? This fluctuation of where it's at right now, I consider that the morning trade. I consider that normal fluctuation. Again, not even breaking out, a true breakout outside of a pre-market high from yesterday is in no way outside of its 3-day range in any way. And so, but that's just typically how I do it. Because you want to take a size that's big enough to be a something, you're going to have to fight momentum. We were already down a little bit. I mean, our average is 197. And so, but that's the whole thing. It's we tiptoe into these things. I never, unless I just have a set amount of dollars I can risk and want to risk, there's no time when it's just let's just throw it all in there and see what happens ever. And overall, I'm not in an environment where I'm really trading to make money. But at the same time, I never want to lose the money. And so, trying to make content, doing the best I can. Again, range bound right here. If we were we'll check in later. But current prospectus, if this were to float up past the 208, we would certainly close. Again, I'm thinking I'm going to at least close the shares that I added today. But even at that, 20 shares exposed is still $4,000. I mean, that's right in our range of that. It could be a something. Again, we get that gap fill, or at least we approach, we should start breaking down. Psychologically, we'll certainly feel better. But frankly, again, I don't expose enough money to really care. It's like I don't want to lose $500, obviously, but then you see me make $1,400. Do I take the money out of the account? No. Do I do anything different? No. And so again, even if I were to make $100,000, if I were to make $1 million, I don't have access where it's like, hey, I can pay taxes or not pay taxes because I don't have constitutional rights. I cannot do anything in my life. And so on a direct personal level, that's just being frank, is I'm not dealing with dollar figures that is large enough for me to remotely care. But that's being a mature manager. It's like, it is what it is. I don't have constitutional rights. I have $635,000, but the biggest thing, bar none, like I can't. It's nothing. It might as well be zero. If I had $0 in access to the labor market, to court, to law enforcement, to society, I mean, it's just like it's hard to relate to people in the future or to people now because there's nobody that's going to live the situation that I'm in. And I'm genuinely trying to make educational content because nobody knows how to fucking manage money. It is so overwhelmingly apparent. The people that have big dollars, they either started a company or, again, you might have literally like one Warren Buffett, but still, and then it's just like, we're going to die on the weirdest hill of no cryptocurrency. And so, again, the overall demeanor and money management of education, it's like this person knows what they're doing, is non-existent. And then in terms of trading, market dynamics is also non-existent. Well, I don't say not. Yeah, I do want to say non-existent. And so to be in this weird headspace of like I can't actually produce educational content when the law is directly violated and everyone's talking about the law, just shut the fuck up, man. This country is such an embarrassment. Again, I see how my parents behave. I see how my grandparents behave and did behave. And it's just 14-year-old school kids just saying, is it my team in the league? Me, my team. Hey, can I go into the grocery store and buy food? No. Can I have a career and a family? No. Can I even, again, have some sort of acknowledgement after, again, massive intelligence agents apparatus moving next door for years? Can you guys give me a time frame to manage my own money or an assurance that you're not going to extort me further so I can have some quality of life? So I can go camping. So I can go to Bass Pro Shop and Field and Stream and spend $100 and not risk it on the market. Because there's still this psychology of like I have to like try to do something new when legitimately I can't. There's nothing I can possibly fucking do to do anything to move forward. But I live in an environment where my parents, specifically my mom, doesn't understand or accept that. And so there's always this pressure, which is, I would say it's hilarious, but it's fucking disgusting and profoundly shameful and disgraceful. That it's like, hey, Brad, when are you going to work on your resume? Are you looking for a job? Like, go fuck off. My goodness. Love you, Mom, but fucking fuck. And it happens. And I said to the people out there, she's not going to watch this video. My parents aren't here right now. I love my parents, genuinely. They don't know how to manage money, and everything to them sounds like I haven't accomplished anything. And it's profoundly shameful and disgraceful. Your parents not being able to love and accept you because the society won't respect your rights. And it's just like, when are you going to work on your resume, bro? It's like, when the fuck never? And I can't. Like, that's the thing is I can't. I tried to run a business. I tried to run a bar and restaurant. I tried to start an alcohol company. Shout out to Robert Hemphill. Yep, the FDA, the group of people that are violating the law won't approve science. Science is proven. You don't approve a proof. It's just proven. But then we're immediately back into you guys literally can't spell your own names. Not the point to do all of that stuff right now. Again, but I am documenting financial damages to this property. This is a trading series. Even with being deprived of my rights, literally being tortured, I still just move on with my days. My day goes past regardless of what's happening. At some point in time, people are going to be like, oh yeah, this Brad guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. I like everything. And so I'm trying to make my content not just bogged down with this bullshit, whether it's my whole life, truly, this transient period of people just lying about all of scientific progress. Because it affects every bit of my educational output. And so to my estate, fuck everybody involved, no leniency, no nothing. No nothing. Let's teach a bunch of old ass, I can't say normal words that people would say in conversation, because of YouTube's guidelines. And yeah, you're allowed to commit fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy against Brad, but if Brad talks about it and says bad words, and bad words are just words that we don't like to hear because we get offended by reality. I'm the victim of crime moving along. We are still in this 206 area, but again, right, we saw a red number. We're not immediately seeing green numbers. We're feeling a little bit better. Like I said, overall, we have a hard stop. Total dollar figures. But it's just like, again, okay, let's see, where's Gemmy at right now? Gemmy might break below 6. I think this is going to be a gap fill at this point completely. It just did not have any, like I thought it would have a pop and then settle in, but this seems to be just a sell the news event. So seems like a decently judicious call, again, directly contradicting what we said before the market opened, but that's the whole point. You just get enough reps, you get enough exposure to where you feel confident yourself. You're never going to have like this is a strategy. And that's what I said is like, somebody jumps in, is like, hey, I have this strategy. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. There's not any, I am the guy that literally can prove your thoughts to you actually, to a level where people, like, there's no historical reference for my capacity. Go pick a stock. There's just so many moving pieces. You can't prove things that are not provable. You can't prove things that there's no empirical evidence. And the frank thing is most of mathematics is trivially solvable. I'm not going to get into math and physics right now. This is looking like, again, a good, judicious call, but in retrospect, again, hindsight's always 20/20. Datadog, we did, as you can see, we did add. Again, I think it was like I think it was 5 shares. But regardless, we'll check back in. This is just kind of fluttering around. But I would say, again, 10.27 right now. 10.17 is like, if I had to pick one time, that is the pick. Shout out Gucci Mane. But just, again, are we going to reverse out of this? Are we going to stay here? Are we going to continue up? This is at a period where if it goes up from here, I just consider myself wrong. If it goes down, I don't consider myself right, but I will feel a little bit better, and then we'll reassess our position size going into the close. I might even take this hard stop and make it the whole share position. But again, closing half the shares, it would reduce under $2.50 a share. Is something I'm still interested in shorting Datadog. And so, again, this huge just gap fill. And again, we're still on huge tail end of both heightened activity from war activity and overall AI memory sector. I'm seeing this as a tailwind. Again, could be directly wrong. I have no way to prove that right or wrong. That's my perspective. That's my outlook. Again, I continue to not have constitutional rights, and I beg to the people that watch this as I record this, please do something to allow me to have a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. A 500 square foot shack in the woods with a hot tub and some outdoor space, and just the psychological awareness that I do not have to worry about money so I can focus on working is the only thing I'm wanting to accomplish. Regardless, that is what I have for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll check in later. Friday, May 15th, 1:34 p.m. And it's the afternoon. We had such high hopes this morning, and we did. We were looking good over here on Datadog, coming down a little pre-market, thinking, hey, it's a good day for Friday sell-off. And yeah, we all definitely did not. And so it sucks. I mean, on a personal level, obviously, again, we did not want to go down $300. So just checking in on Datadog. But on a personal level, again, I cannot buy food. I am destitute. To whoever is out there, I do not have constitutional rights. I cannot pay taxes. I cannot access any health care. I cannot live a life. I'm over here sitting waiting to see if my Medicaid has been approved, and I have no idea. I am being tortured. I am being held against my will in the direct jurisdiction of Elaine Bryant, of Andrew Ginther, of Michael DeWine, and of Donald Trump. I continue to emphasize my rights are violated in such a profound and severe capacity that I cannot eat properly, I cannot sleep properly, and I cannot work. And so I do not care about $300. If I lose $300, close this position right now, but each time I try something, even if I make $2,000, I can't do anything. I do not have access to the law. I do not have, and I'm so tired of acting like that fucking matters, man. Like the United States Army, you guys serve nothing. Anyone in the armed services, you serve nothing. The law does not exist. And so I've been just put myself out there in the world trying to do stuff, be a good son, be a good student, be a good community member, start businesses, employ people, do this, do that. And the reality is it's just a clamoring fuckfest of nothing. And so obviously I'm feeling great, make a great decision. Again, on this to the actual trading, again, the forefront of my mind is I just want my life to work to some extent. I don't want to be a stock trader. I don't want to be a mathematician. I don't want to be a physicist. I don't want to be a bar and restaurant owner. I don't want to be a patent holder. I just want to be able to pay bills. Truly. I just want to have some quality of life somehow. And I've even given up that. Without constitutional rights in an environment where no one cares, I just want some way to have a stable life, to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. And so, obviously emphasizing that to the actual trading. Why does everything have to be a fucking rocket ship, dude? like, and so still have a hard stop loss, same exact level, 214 and change from this morning. Datadog was looking weak from the pre-market. We kind of had fun this morning. Like, are we channeling? Are we channeling? Are we down yet? Are we down yet? We popped up. And so kind of just like the psychology of managing a losing trade, which luckily for you, you're watching my channel, so that's every single trade. But again, what I just talked about, again, citing the law, that is my reaction. It's like, I just over here wanting to have some life. This is the only thing that I can kind of try to do. But even if I make or lose money, again, if I lose money, I just want to trade less. If I trade less, I don't watch the market at all. And I just wanting to make content. So why am I trading? To make content. It just sucks every single fucking trade you go into. We had a little bit of, we had $1,500 of momentum in American Eagle, and now we're just like kind of giving it back. But again, we just can't get on a roll. Point being is I've given up on the tax obligation. I'm going to get extorted. There's nothing I can do. Again, I'm in those jurisdictions of people where the law doesn't matter. There are no laws. There's no law enforcement. There's no sworn oaths. There's no adherence to what is right. There was just people doing whatever benefits themselves, and everyone's too pathetic to make decisions. Is really what it comes down to. People and groups that don't make decisions, they literally just default to insecurity, and they do so collectively. So again, we don't have a real governor. We don't have a real mayor. We don't have a real police chief. We don't have a real president. We don't have a real constitution. There's just groups of people. And so this tying of sentiment to price action, again, you feel it so strong in the market, and then it's this overall financial picture. And so to the tax situation where it's just like, does executing more trades make it more or less likely to get extorted directly and profoundly illegally by the United States government? I just don't think it matters. And so can't really do anything about that. Again, that's what I'm trying to resolve most readily. Again, if I could just put this money I have right here on income funds, I would be okay with even never having constitutional rights, which I've never had in my life. I haven't had up to this point of making this video right now. But it's the government. It's the people at the highest level, and everybody that could do something is already well aware, and just nobody cares because there are no morals, there's no good people, blah, blah, blah. I'm truly not even trying to make this an emotion. This isn't emotional for me. I'm documenting the sentiment you feel. Okay, I just made a trade. The world isn't collapsing, but you're just in this negative headspace of like, okay, well, what do I do? Because for me, on a personal level, right, anyone else out there, if you're trading responsibly, you're trading with discretionary income. It doesn't really matter, and it shouldn't affect your psychology at all. I don't have constitutional rights. I do not have access to the social structures you do every single day to live. While at the same time, it's not like I can go opt out of sales tax. And so, in a country with no taxation without representation, 250 years of declaring independence, and just a fucking shithole of nothing, hypocrisy, crime, and pathetic cowards that don't know how to make decisions. It's not like it's hard just to tell the truth and say, here's a scientific proof. Here's the law that directly makes you have obligation to do so. But that is where we're at. And so just documenting, again, on a personal level, I am trading to make content. Each time a trade goes against me, and it's like immediately, too. And you see how I enter. I don't enter big. And, I approach the market just saying, what is moving? What is the most reasonable position sizing and ability to, like, again, have some sort of conviction. I think this is going to go up or down for what reason, and then I just assess the market for years, and it's just like, there's a bunch of haphazard shit, but it puts you in this headspace, hey, trade going against me. Whoever's out there watching this video, it will be the same thing. And again, if you're a responsible trader, it won't matter, because you won't be in a position size that affects anything, and it shouldn't. For me personally, it's just I don't have access. I can't go focus on my day job, or I can't go focus on anything else. I've already solved all of research. I can't have any sort of access to the labor market, to the business world. I have no friends or family. So it's very literally like, what the fuck do you do? Then you just kind of run out and you just kind of watch Netflix and shit. Which, again, I'm going to review The Lord of the Flies. I like that one. That's once I turn my chair sideways, that's the next video. Back to sticking to trading, again, just taking you through the psychology. That's me on a personal level. A trade goes against you, you are going to be in this headspace of just like, but again, that's what I'm saying is this is so case specific. Nobody else is not going to have constitutional rights where they can make an ongoing lecture. This is not a lecture series. Again, once I've proven, and I want the chronology, when I said scientific lectures on my YouTube, that was for, hey, I know what I'm doing. I know you're not going to believe me, but listen. And now it's just, here's the answers. In order, directly derived, we're almost freaking done. I have another one of those done too. That stuff is always happening. But nobody else out there is going to be deprived of like human rights so profoundly and so directly, and literally so many people know, and literally nobody care, and literally just thinking like I am a young person, which I'm 33 this year, but that's still the sentiment you get treated with. This is like, oh, he's not rightfully angry. Here's the law, fuck everybody. That could not be more serious about that. And just, again, we don't have constitutional rights. There is no law enforcement. And so, meaning, if you get into a negative headspace for your overall day, anytime you make a decision, you're going to want to make money. That's why you made the decision. But your trading should not affect your psychology 1 second outside of like, oh, this sucks. I lost a little bit of money or made some money. It should not affect your headspace whatsoever. Because again, if you're making money, you're not some sort of secret genius hacking the market. And I'm very literally the guy that solved all of science. And if you're losing money in a responsible way, you're not doing something egregiously wrong either. I mean, there's just shit happens, stocks jiggle around. And so that's kind of the point overall. It just, again, case specific to me. I get in not even like a negative headspace. It's just like, why the fuck can't something go the right way? Why can't I just trade something well? But again, I'm still sitting up lifetime earnings. This is a trade. Like my whole portfolio is a managed trade over 10 years. But I just, again, once, you crap out, we're sitting up $1,100. Well, again, $1,500 really from recent price action. The Gemmy depreciation was again, not from our recent movements. And so saying $1,500 profit, and then you lose $500 here. Once you get back to like even, hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, I just don't have any motivation. I'll just go watch another movie or go do something. I have so much intellectual content to make. But at the same time, it's like another foul. Again, I don't think it's that at this point, like I can buy any equipment I would need. But I don't have constitutional rights that affects my headspace all day, every day, 100% of the time. Especially when I live in an environment with my parents, who my mom is like, it's disgraceful. Like I said earlier, it's as long as she can sit there in her head and say, well, he didn't get ahead of me. It's this bitchy little 14-year-old. But then you can say, where's Brad's money? Oh, I haven't seen the fucking intelligence apparatus move in next door and just look at you like this. Why are you still, Adam, my old neighbor, why are you still trying to make money? Look, motherfucker, look how fucked up my life is. Guess what? I had a bunch of data collection, and I'm well aware of who you are, my guy. I'm just waiting until the time is right to, again, the law makes any sense to fucking anybody. But to the people involved in that, you're dealing with the person that's the most competent intellectual in fucking human history, and you don't understand the level, like what my intelligence even is. And so if you feel it, I can feel it better than you can think it, actually. But again, we're just lying, cheating, and stealing about all of science so we can cause death and destruction globally. And still, again, we're just in that position of pathetic fucking idiot. Shit hits the fan and everyone just looks around like, well, I guess I just won't tell the truth and just hide behind my huge group. I guess I'll just go loot a store with 1,000 people and feel less responsibility because there's a lot of people. I'll call myself an academic. I'll call myself a law enforcement agent and not do anything obligated by my job responsibilities or by morality or by the fucking law, which should be the most poignant thing to reference, but it isn't because the law is a fucking joke. But again, trying to focus more on the mechanics of trading. And so again, this is just a breakout into highs. It's not a strong, huge breakout, but it's just like, I don't know. And so, like I said this morning, almost certainly will close half of this before the end of the day. Might be the whole thing and just take the loss. But the conviction I have is how much longer is this software, AI, memory shit going to happen? Because this still is tied back to, again, we shorted SanDisk, took a sizable loss there. I was fine with the management on that one. But I'm still, it's just like, and I'm also going to say, like, I am more anticipatory of price to earnings contraction just in general. As a decrease in activity, things cool down, your emotions cool down as you get older. Everything contracts as it gets colder, not to make it physical, but again, just this environment where we have uneducated consumers. I go to Home Depot yesterday, and the guy is loading up. He's a fucking idiot. He doesn't ask me how much my payload capacity is for my truck. Loads up 3,600 pounds of mulch on the back, and it just like sags my whole car down. I'm like, what are you doing? And it's just like everyone is a fucking idiot that has no ability to make decisions, and then they like get offended. So I'm like, dude, like, look at my car. He's like, oh, yeah. Because he just loaded up. He's like, yep, you're ready to go. And off the top of my head, I was pretty sure like my payload capacity was right around 2,000. Googled it. It's like 1,600 to 1,800. But he didn't once ask me like, hey, man, how much can your truck hold? Frankly, I didn't think of like how much the mulch would weigh, which I probably should have thought of that too. But again, it's just like as the shift lead at Home Depot, May 15th, we have our Scott's mulch sale going on, and your shift lead's not asking every customer, hey, what's your payload? Like I've had that number since I bought the truck. Just didn't really think of how much mulch would weigh. I didn't think it would be that much. But it was definitely like, whoa, I was like, this is too much. And he was just like, nope, you're good to go. And then I'm like, dude, and he's like, well, we do this all day. Yeah, I didn't know if your truck could take it. As it's just like, what the fuck am I listening to? And it's some fat person, probably right around my age, but he probably plays Dungeons and Dragons. He probably watches Rick and Morty. Just again, his presentation, overweight, like trying to be like an intellectual type fucking guy. And I'm just like, have some common sense. Here's a $30,000 truck and $200 of mulch. Do you think I want any damage to the truck or the whole pile of mulch to burn to hell and I just buy another pile? Just no education, no decision making, no presence, no nothing. And my life is fucked every time I do anything. And so I have a whole video in this series called Educated Consumers. Just, again, advertising, right? I'm exposed to it all the time. Does advertising do anything for me? It gets a company in my mind, like it just like by nature of seeing it to some extent. But I know what I want to buy. I know the specifications. I know everything of anything that I'm trying to do. And that is a normalized behavior that's going to happen for everybody. Advertising is going to be effectively nothing. Marketing is going to be effectively nothing. Automation is going to take away huge swaths of white, quote-unquote, blue-collar work. White-collar work is just jerking off, fucking adult babysitting. People don't realize that the economy just needs to work for everybody, and then we don't need to compete over fucking identity, like who's the CEO, who's the CFO, who's the CIO, who's the mid-level manager. People want quality of life. That's all anybody could want. Not die, reproduce, think. People just clamor over each other because they're just reacting to social sentiment, man. High school never ends. And so, but yeah, the mulch guy was just that was fucking weird. It was just, and it's just like, it's just so immediate. This behavior of like, I don't know where people are at. They're not present. They're not $30,000 truck, $200 worth of mulch. I'm assuming that you have some sort of common fucking sense. And it's just like nowhere to be found. Shift lead, the bulk of the mulch season coming through. Hey man, how much can your truck handle? Because it's like set up like you go through Home Depot where it's like a lot of people are going to come through and get mulch. No presence of mind. That guy got a job. He somehow submitted a resume. The person that hired him somehow submitted a resume, and all of these fucking people are I can't speak normally. Renards that I went to high school with. It's the same people. I watched people in a direct personal, my peer group, not learn shit. Their whole life, all they did was play games. And then you go out into the labor market, and it's all those fucking idiots. Literally, how much of the labor market is just people from different high schools trying to sell each other random shit? Honestly. Probably the whole fucking thing. My goodness. And so, getting back to management, it looks like Jemmy was a good, judicious close. So again, why do I have any insight as to why this, again, this I don't see the numbers from earnings reports as meaningful. I just see the actual reaction as like what matters for trading. I deposit $25,000, $50,000 into account. I want to make money. What do I'm looking for? Does this thing Sorry, I had a cough and it kind of like stopped. But like, is this balance between, is it priced in, and what do I want to say? Why did this has an earnings? It didn't beat anything. Its loss was less than expected, so that was a positive. It secured an investment from its founders, but same shit. Somebody else, again, even if it's themselves believing in it. We have pre-market appreciation, which we always look to short. Again, D-Dog is, again, the opposite. I wanted to say like D-Dog has like more real, or has like a better revenue structure. But the frank thing is that I just think this has more momentum from the overall AI environment, the overall tech trade environment than Gemmy. But it's like the same, like, why? It's a currency exchange. How is that not tech? Can I provide any insight as to why this went down? I mean, I think why it went up pre-market's pretty apparent. But why do some things go down and after earnings and other things don't go down, right? Same thing with American Eagle. And again, I want to say American Eagle and Datadog are more real companies. You get my intuition. But maybe just this is, again, just for whatever reason, some stocks gap up and they just continue on. Again, Datadog being that's kind of why we took this huge thing over here. But again, just win. And like, why is it different? Why do some gaps fill relatively quickly? Why sometimes not? Again, we closed Gemmy on intuition right around 6. I want to say it was 640. And I think it was right around 640. I could pull it up on the monitor tab, just not trying to show the account number too many times, even though nobody literally watches anything I do. And so, that was the things I wanted to cover. Again, just kind of like the headspace, but again, my personal situation, because I'm an extremely diligent money manager. With all things considered, again, how many people would be able to manage and appreciate $600,000 without constitutional rights? You've never met somebody so just like, I can't report crime. I can't go to school. I can't do anything. I don't have a supportive family. I don't have anybody that accepts my life's experience as real. Truly. And so, meaning my entire time it's like, you can still only make money when it comes. That was the Bitcoin trade. And then it's just like, spend nothing, go nowhere, just work. And that's what I've done, provably. So you might not see it, but I would take my chops with anybody managing money in an active situation. What you are looking at me, what are you watching me doing is trying to make content for people that would never walk in my shoes, and try to not just overbear it with just my personal situations and focus on, again, what you can predict, which is very little, because it's really just money management. This is the amount of money I can risk, because we'd be taking a lot more trades with a lot less conviction, and just, if it goes in our favor, it goes in our favor. And managing it well is how you maximize profit. And so we have to cut things extremely short. We have to take extremely small positions. Because these higher convictions, I would not have a stop loss. Like, if I had a job income, the position size would be something I could add to. It could be a farther out thing. Because in the management style that I have to do because of crime being committed by the government and the police officers, to the point where, again, the police officers, even like the FBI, the CIA, the apparatus that I'm interacting with, like the FBI to my face was like, we are not going to do anything. And they were like, we know your life's fucked and we still don't even care. And it's like, I literally asked him, I was like, what do you do? You guys are the FBI. And he's literally like, oh. But again, those people are such trash. It's a disgrace. If you do not support the law, you do not support anything. If you have a sworn oath to uphold the law, again, you're in violation. Once the law makes sense, charges will just be filed. The lawsuit will just be on your desk. You're not going to receive an email. You're not going to watch me make a video. I will make a video, but I'm going to just file the charges. There's no antagonism to, I might do this. Nope, you destroyed my whole life. Fuck you. But again, we do not have any sort of law enforcement. And so, again, we'll just, probably close half if we do get some sort of depreciation. Because like I said, I'm really not mad. It's just I'm just documenting the headspace that I am in, and that is not applicable to anybody, ever. And then again, it's not specific to trading. I can't make it. There's $25 million of contractually owed money to me. It's a math proof. There is nothing more rigorously satisfying of a legal contract than a fucking math proof. But I mean, that's been that way for literally a decade at this point. And so nothing else really going on in the market that I really want to talk about. Yeah, let's just cut it here. Yeah, that's all I got. We'll check back in probably at the close because this is Friday, and this will be a standalone trading type of discussion. So we will check in at the end of the day. Friday, May 15th, 3:52 p.m. What's up, everybody? So we're logging on for the absolute close of the trading week. As you can see, we are still on Datadog. We are not in the profit. We're not looking good. But I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more on the management of a losing position, which we get a lot of content over here on that. And so, right, still have the hard stop up here at 12 shares, half the position size at 214 is what I have it at. That's pretty much to, again, just anything happens and we start really picking up, we're appreciating, $100 in the day, something substantial. So that was to stop that. If we were to pick up momentum, I would have, made it the full size. But last time we checked in, we were, again, pretty much hitting the peak. Came off that pretty much right when we stopped recording the last segment. But this 208 level is really what I'm looking for right into this close. We have, again, 6 minutes and 15 seconds. And so this 208 level, again, it was the previous pre-market high, kind of the recent and all-time high. So really kind of seeing what it does with this level. The 214, just like why did I put it at 214? Overall, again, it's just you don't get into a position size that's too big. And then frankly, for the stop loss, it's more of just I don't want to say it's arbitrary because it's definitely how much money you're willing to risk, but then also, again, still in the movement of what is a reasonable move for a stock. When you're at all-time highs, it's like those types of environments is when you kind of bust out. But point being is if we would have closed it in the recording of the last section, again, we're still not looking good by any means. But the kind of like the reverse psychology is you're in a position, it's going against you, you're feeling the momentum, like, oh, this isn't fun. But then if we close this right here at 210 to 211, and we could very literally easily close up into there right now. But point being is you'll be sitting there kind of like fighting this momentum, and then either it breaks in your direction or it doesn't. If it goes against you, you'll be feeling kind of good. But another bit of sentiment to acknowledge, right? Like if we were to close at the 211.28, we're feeling the momentum, and then it immediately backs off. Again, we're currently still at levels that are very elevated for our position. Not too big, to be frank. I mean, $243 is not a huge depreciation. But again, we're always calibrating against what is a reasonable move. And that's, I would say, pretty mature in understanding of how to do that. Mature might not be the right word, but pretty accurate, I would say. But just for price discovery to the upside, there's no real anything. It's just kind of, here's my position size, here's what I'm willing to risk. But if you were, again, if it were to hit the 214 stop and knocks out half our position and then immediately trades down and closes at 207 or lower, we'd be feeling really, really stupid. Conversely, if it goes above, you're going to feel kind of good. I don't even say you feel good, you just feel all right. It's like you still lost money, you're out of the trade, you're glad you're not losing more money, but you will certainly feel really stupid closing it and then it goes down. But the obvious drawdown is if it keeps going up, you lose more money. Again, just acknowledging the different parts of sentiment that will inevitably and unavoidably present themselves. And so, again, watching currently this 208, talking and monitoring this at the same time. Below 208, I might hold this. Again, not in a comfortable. Again, I don't like lose sleep. It's a decision you make. But again, I don't have constitutional rights, and that predominates my entire headspace all day, every day. And so, just kind of looking at levels here, we are getting a little bit of a sell-off because, again, this 208 was the previous pre-market high, kind of the top of our channel throughout the day. We are on a Friday. The momentum will reset next week. Again, that could be way more appreciative. Right? We could wake up. I, for a slight reason, want to say this has no chance of gapping up. That is definitely not guaranteed, but I don't see any continued stimulus. We just had this summit with China. We did not get good articulations of any trade deals. Jeremy Siegel was just on CNBC, the older guy that we've referenced a couple times, and he said something that, again, was just hilariously out of tune. Not specifically about the Trump-China summit, but just about, he said something like, talking about the Micron, the memory trade, I don't know if he's talking about his students or about other traders or what, but he said something to the effect of, people are looking for earnings a year or 2 years out, but it has to be more than 2 years out, and then it can be kind of like be appropriate for like a 20% increase. And I'm just like, what fucking carnival arbitrary levels numbers is he just throwing out there? But then I remember Jeremy Siegel's day job is in academia, which what are we doing in academia, Jerry? Is that his even name? I don't fucking know. But we are lying, cheating, and stealing because we're big bitches. Right? Here's the law, and somebody else comes to us off camera and says, this is a more important law, and we're really stupid. And we look at the first commandment and it says, don't follow false authority. All of those people coming to you behind closed doors and then have been over the past 10 years saying, don't talk about this publicly. I can show you the clip with Eric Weinstein sitting on Lex Friedman saying, you'll go to jail. Guess what, Eric? You're going to go to jail for longer, you big fucking idiot. But the people that are truly doing that do not know the detriment and death and destruction they are causing. And they're just arrogant fucking idiots. And so nothing we can do about them. Still just right on this. We have a minute and a half. Right on the 208 level, I think, and we're holding it. Because, again, what is our risk tolerance right here into the weekend? Again, up until 220, like the 414 was just a level where it's like, if this is up high, how high is it going to go? I have no idea. Again, kind of arbitrary on the 414. Because we don't have good technicals on a all-time high. But sector specific, I'm not seeing a bunch of momentum. I'm short-term correction bear-ish sometime. Like, I feel like we're going into year 4 of just gains. Like, I feel like something. So I'm overall kind of bearish on the whole market, but I'm not like a bear. Like, it's just like, I know we take a bunch of short positions, but it's just, again, from a trading perspective, that is the most predictable move, fading momentum. Would much rather be in extremely appreciative positions than trying to fade this. We're looking for conviction. What do we think is going to happen with any sort of reasonability? And with that being said, it's not much. But we just look for extremely extended factors and then take the opposite direction. And so let's just make it. Let's throw up a cover. We'll cover 4 shares, maybe a 4 or 5. Let's just nah. We're holding. F it. Yeah, we got 5, 4. Close below 208. We're holding it, whatever it is. And it's not like I expect some big movement, but that's the whole thing. It's just the weekend provides a whole new, we're in it, we're short. Oh, please don't gap up. But again, I just think of cataclysm, like an absolute blowout. We wake up and it's $100 a share, right? $2,400. And so again, I'm always like in the back of my mind, just like, what is catastrophe? And that's kind of how I do my risk tolerance, again, without cash flow. But I just have a higher conviction. I think we're losing steam. I don't think software has that much steam to begin with. These charts aren't super attractive to begin with. This company's like 5-6 years old. And so I still want to be exposed to some style of shorting the memory. The other, let's check in over here. Didn't follow them the past day that closely. But again, right at these levels, we're up to, at this point, above 1,600 would surprise me more than below 1,200 for the next week. Just to put some time frames, some specific numbers. But again, the moment you can see weakening in the trade is that's when the price action's already happened. Again, re-emphasizing, it seems, not to any fault of CNBC. We criticize them. They're all criminals, trying to be more productive than just that stuff all of the time. Just like the actual, again, when I sat down and said, where is the opportunity? And again, they don't like cover the timings. And that's just because, again, they're running a production. It's a TV show. But you don't pick the market conditions. You just look at it and says, where can I make money, and try to do the best you can. If that means waking up at 6 in the morning and shorting something pre-market and covering before the market even opens, that it is what it is. That means taking some wonky, janky spread differential type of trade as opposed to any sort of fundamental basis. It is what it is. And so you assess the market, you say, how's this functioning and where can I make money? You don't tell it how to behave. And so a downside, again, obviously I have an open short position, and I don't see that as like it needs to be my direction. It's just you have some level of conviction to open a position, as we've said 100 times. And so wanting to be short might extend, again, if we do open up at something that isn't just absolute catastrophe. increase the risk tolerance a little more, but I would like to see it come down a little bit. We were fighting this momentum on American Eagle to the upside. This has a lot more, in my opinion, substantially more momentum potential. Sensorality is momentum potential. Got to do my science videos. But again, there's only so much you can say. You're in the game. We're going to see what happens on Monday. But not expecting any catastrophe, but always positioning for so. So sitting down, 244, pop on over to Jemmy. If my keyboard wants to go. And so that was a good call today. Closed that out at 640, 641, I believe I checked. And then we just kind of sold off. So again, any more insight or any new thoughts from this afternoon's episode or check in, like why do some continue up and why do some sell off immediately? I don't know. I have no great insight. I just think previously I said, Datadog and Micron or SanDisk are like more real companies, for lack of better terminology. Again, I have no insight. Can't provide anything. Just moving on. But we did sell out here at 630 or 641. That was a pretty good close. Again, just trying to trade this back to profitability. So we certainly expect. Was this a complete gap fill? And so this will certainly trade down to 5. Well, certainly to 520 or 526. Again, no huge conviction over here whatsoever. Just huge, beaten down tremendously, and I do expect it to see appreciation with cryptocurrency, which I also see as bullish at some point in the future on price appreciation. And so I think Jemmy will get some stimulus here, close out the whole position, sitting out lifetime down around 400, short term, all things that we've documented here. We are sitting up of realized positions right around, like I said, it was like $1,590. We'll just call it $1,600. And so the added $400 or $500 from the index funds that we closed that are where'd those end up today? I feel like we had a down day overall because that was another thing. Like Datadog, specifically software, so Microsoft was up a little bit as well, but it was a rather flat to down day for the overall market, meaning again the S&P 500 is what I say, but just more the major indices. So down day for the S&P, QQI, which is more tech, NASDAQ heavy, which again is just half the market is NVIDIA, any indice you go to. And so flat day on the QQQ, down day slightly on the S&PY. Overall, to me, heightened activity from the war. China summit just ended. We're either going to get some more resolution or more drawn out nothingness. And then all of this amateurization for all of these big CapEx spends in this inflation. It's just how many just market conditions in general. Fuel goes up. It just causes everything to be more expensive. And so we're hearing more about this, rate hike, where, the market's pricing in a rate hike, which again, I push back on that, meaning I don't know what they're looking at, the yield curve or whatever, but they'll just say this data means the market is pricing it in, which I just don't. That's one of those statements where it's like the market's efficient. It's like, no, it's not. People aren't efficient. The market can't be efficient. What are you talking about? But at the same time, there's not some secret code or, I can't. No new insight there. CF 125 bid 127, so closed at 125. Again, could look to reshort that if we have any more short-term appreciations into the 130, 140. I don't really expect that to happen, but if it does, we will look to short that. And so that's pretty much wrapping up. This will be a whole trading video. We had a good conversation. Started off the day excited. We had Jemmy in the profit. We had Datadog looking like it was going to dump, and then Datadog didn't dump, and Jemmy did dump. And so, I love trading. Fun stuff. Again, I do not have constitutional rights. I continue to emphasize that in every single video. It is to my estate in the future. Sue every single video that has this content in it. If it is all of them, it is all of them. Because it destroys my property, the overall value. Somebody in 16,000 years is not going to remotely care about what's happening to Brad personally, and Brad personally doesn't care what's happening to Brad personally. It's just my capacity is neutral. There is no emotion to it. It is a mechanical process, and if it gets disrupted, I can't do anything else besides try to correct that disruption, that distortion. But I can't because I don't have constitutional rights, and I'm at the point where I've been begging for years for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. No one gives a fuck. Really good stuff and inspiring lessons for the future. All those hardworking Americans out there just not respecting the law, lying about everything, you guys are great examples. Nothing else on the market. Again, just the last person on here that I was watching was Jeremy Siegel, and he was just, again, how do you guys don't know, academia is purely fraudulent. It's been so for many, many years, and they're also the biggest pussies in the world where they just can't, get offended for 2 seconds. Getting offended is the equivalent of being the most morally wrong thing you could ever do. And little kids, when they get offended and they don't know how to behave, and they just get like, ah. But then they're cops, and then they're lawyers, and then they're business owners, and they're all criminals. But we do not have a court system. We do not have law enforcement. And again, when I say law enforcement, I don't just mean the people with badges. I mean the social responsibility of everybody doing what is fair. Nobody's perfect, taking responsibility where you fuck up, and moving along. And yet we're still continuing to not do that, so we can lie, cheat, and steal and cause death and destruction globally. That is what I have for the end of the trading video. I am behind on other content, so we are going to move along. We will see you next week, and hopefully we don't wake up on Monday in Datadog at like 225. Maybe if we're real lucky, be at 250. Anyway, we're in the game. We'll see what happens. I can't trade meaningfully. I don't have constitutional rights. Please, somebody pay me. Nobody will. And I'll see you later.